Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Schuyler Callihan here on Between the Ears, and we're going to continue to talk about this WVU coaching search, but we're going to take a one-day break from that because, well, look, the NCAA tournament starts today, and I've got to make my picks. I have not done a bracket yet, so this is and I really haven't really studied the bracket that well. I know some matchups, I know some of the teams in certain regions, but I really don't know. So this is really going off of a whim here, and we're just gonna fill one out and see what it turns out to look like. Obviously, West Virginia's not in the tournament, but we can still have fun with this. And let me know who you have in the Final Four, and also winning the national championship in the comments section if you are on YouTube, and if you're on our site, we also have a little comment section where it says "Start Conversation." Hit that button, and you can hit your comment, put your comments in that section there. So let's go ahead and start filling out our 2024 NCAA tournament bracket. All right, so I think the best way to do this, and some people do this differently, you can go region by region and fill it all the way to the Final Four. I like to go round by round. So that's how this thing works, right? So let's just keep it as realistic as we possibly can. Some of these games we may spend a little more time on, some others not so much. As we start things off, this one is not one we are going to talk a whole lot about. We're just going to go and throw UConn in there over Stetson. The Hatters, good baseball team, by the way. Beat West Virginia once, I believe, out of the three in the opening series. But they're not beating the defending national champions. Florida Atlantic, Dusty May. This is one that West Virginia fans are going to want to watch. They're taking on Northwestern. This is a tricky game. I think Northwestern is a little bit better than what people understand. Florida Atlantic, meanwhile, they have this great perception because they went to the Final Four a year ago. They won 30-plus games. They got a lot of pieces back. This is a tricky game for FAU. They just lost to Temple in the conference tournament. I think FAU comes out on top, but it's not going to be as convincing as many would think. And who knows? That could be one of those games where it could go the other way. I wouldn't be surprised if Northwestern comes out on top. San Diego State, easy money here. I'm even laying the 6.5 point spread. I'm not even sure if it's moved by that point, but I would put it in at 6.5. San Diego State easily over Andy Kennedy and the UAB Blazers. Auburn and Yale. Auburn's way too much firepower. Yale, I watched a little bit of the Ivy League tournament, and they've got some talent. There's no question about that. I think they overlooked Brown in the championship game, and the game against Cornell in the semis was probably a little bit more entertaining than it needed to be. There in the second half, they almost blew a double-digit lead. So just from the couple of games I watched, Yale, they're a good team, but they're not going to be able to hold up against a very good team out of the SEC and Auburn. BYU and Duquesne. Duquesne making their first tournament appearance since way before I was born, back in the 70s, I believe. BYU, their first year in the Big 12, they make it. This is an interesting matchup. I could see Duquesne hanging around in this one. BYU's a streaky team. They got to hit three-point shots. They live and die by it. But I'm going to go with BYU. I think they're able to avoid the upset and move on. Illinois and the Big Ten Conference Championship team in the tournament, at least. They're taking on Morehead State. Morehead has been a team that's given people some scares over the years, including West Virginia. I'm going Illinois, but it's going to be within a 5-point game. Washington State at Drake, another game that West Virginia fans are going to want to tune into, really, maybe even for both coaches. Not a whole lot has been said about the job Kyle Smith has done, but he has been tied to West Virginia loosely before. So that's an interesting one there with him and Darian DeVry at Drake. I'm going to go with Drake here. I just like the feeling here. I don't really have too much of an input. I'm just going to go Drake. Iowa State and South Dakota State. as much as I want to pick South Dakota State here, I can't. I got to go Iowa State. I do think this could probably be the most likely 215. There's usually one of these every 4 or 5 years, right? And this feels like it could have been the one. Still might be, but I'm going to go Iowa State to round out the first round there in the East region. North Carolina, not even talking about it. MSU, I saw this on Twitter. You can just go ahead and put MSU into the next round here. Obviously, both with those initials. I'm going to go. Michigan State got a little hot. They always get really tough at this time of year. Tom Izzo knows how to coach. But I'm going with Chris Jans in Mississippi State. They're going to find a way to move on here. Jimmy Bell, showing a little love to Jimmy Bell, too. St. Mary's in Grand Canyon. St. Mary's had a terrific season. Conference champions over Gonzaga for the first time in seemingly forever. I'm going to go with St. Mary's. Alabama, Charleston. I love Charleston. I love Pat Kelsey. Again, another WVU candidate, potentially. But Alabama is one of the highest scoring teams in the country. Charleston probably can't keep up. This is a double-digit win for Bama. Clemson and New Mexico. I'm going New Mexico here. No real input again. Just picking the 11-6 upset. Baylor or Colgate. Colgate's interesting. Don't know that they're going to be able to win this game, but that's an interesting matchup. I think they can give Baylor some fits. Dayton and Nevada, we're going to go Dayton, and Arizona and Long Beach State, we're going Arizona. So there it is for the first round of the West region. Over to the South, Houston, you're in to the round of 32. Nebraska, Texas A&M. Nebraska's first time they've been there in a while. Texas A&M. This is a tough matchup. I really don't know a whole lot about these two, to be honest. I'm going to go with Nebraska. Wisconsin, James Madison. This is the trendy pick right here. This is the trendy upset. James Madison over Wisconsin. Mark Byington got this team to 30-plus wins. It makes sense. However, I'm going to go against the trend because for some reason, these trendy 5-12 upsets, they never usually work out. So as much as I like Mark Byington and I like JMU, I think Wisconsin avoids the trendy pick here and they move on. Chucky Hepburn, one of the most elite players in college basketball, Tyler Wall. They've got some good players. This is a team that's capable of making a run. Duke and Vermont, don't think Vermont's going to be able to do much in this game. Texas Tech and NC State. I am going with the upset here. Texas Tech has just been such a hot and cold team this year. Very, very streaky. NC State, meanwhile, they may have more confidence than anybody in the country right now. 5 wins in 5 days to get here to the NCAA tournament. I don't think Texas Tech has an answer for DJ Burns, man. And that's trouble. And I think NC State could give Kentucky, who I'm going to put into the next round here, a little bit of trouble as well. We'll see if I pick them to move on to the Sweet 16. Florida, not even questioning. Boise and Colorado, I don't think it really matters who comes out of that game. And Marquette, we're moving on. Down to the Midwest, Purdue. Utah State, Danny Sprinkle over Jamie Dixon. No question there. TCU's defense has not been that great this year at all. Maybe one of the worst he's ever had. McNeese. This is it right here. McNeese upsetting Gonzaga. That is my 5-12 upset. I can't believe I'm picking it. Gonzaga. This is a team that always goes deep into the tournament, at least to the Sweet 16. Not this year. This is not the same Gonzaga we're used to. Meanwhile, McNeese and Will Wade have completely flipped that program around. They are firing on all cylinders. I'm going with McNeese over Gonzaga. Kansas, I know they've been struggling. They've had some injuries, but I think they get past Samford. South Carolina and Oregon. Going to go South Carolina. 2 really good coaches. Dana Altman, the veteran. Lamont Paris, a younger coach. But I'm going to go with South Carolina. Creighton and Akron. Going to go Creighton there. Texas and Virginia and Colorado State. Virginia, Colorado State, they play tonight. I'm going to go with the upset here. whoever wins that game, I feel confident that either team could beat Texas. Nico Medved of Colorado State, Virginia, Tony Bennett, they've had a lot of success over the years in the tournament. I feel confident about that game, whichever way it plays out. I think Virginia ends up winning, and Virginia moves on, beating Texas as well. Tennessee and St. Peter's. You know what? Nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I thought about it. See, even I tried to. I clicked on it. It made me want to do it, but I'm not. We're gonna go with Tennessee. So that's the first round. We're going to move on to the round of 32. We're going to go a little bit faster here to get through this round. UConn, no test from FAU. We're going to go San Diego State again. San Diego State, UConn, two teams that made the Final Four a year ago. We're going to go with BYU here over Illinois. Again, it's a team that gets streaky. They can make shots. If they do, they're moving on. Drake and Iowa State. We're going to go with Drake with the upset here over Iowa State. Darian DeVry gets his team to the Sweet 16. North Carolina over Mississippi State. We're going to go St. Mary's over Alabama. We're going to go Baylor. And then we're going to go Arizona over Dayton. Over to the South, we're going to go Houston. We're going to go Duke. We're going... Do I do it? Do I pick NC State over Kentucky? No, that's the end of the magical run for the Wolfpack. But I do think Florida is a very, very dangerous team here for Marquette. And I think they pull off the upset. We're going to go Florida over Marquette. Purdue and Utah State. Purdue, McNeese. We're going with it. This is our Cinderella right here. McNeese into the Sweet 16. Defeating Gonzaga and Kansas in their first two games of the tournament. South Carolina and Creighton. This is kind of a toss-up for me. We'll go Creighton, and then we're going to go Tennessee. Now into the Sweet 16. We're going to really pick up steam here to get to the Final Four. UConn and San Diego State. We're going to go UConn, BYU and Drake. It's going to be BYU. Magical run for the BYU Cougars in their first year in the Big 12. North Carolina gets there, and then Arizona. Over here to the South, we're going to go We're going to go Duke here. I think Duke ends the run for Houston. Houston's a tremendous defensive team, but we're going to go with Duke there. And then Kentucky come down here. And the magical run for our Cinderella ends in the Sweet 16 with McNeese as they fall to Purdue. And then we're going to go Creighton over Tennessee. Interesting Elite Eight. Not really a whole lot of craziness here yet. Maybe BYU. But that's going to come to an end here as they fall to UConn. Come back down here. North Carolina, Arizona. I think Carolina. This is the Caleb Love revenge game, by the way. Former Tar Heel, who's now in Arizona. This is an interesting matchup. Carolina's got a lot of depth, a lot of quality depth. I think they get to the Final Four, and we're going to stay down here for this part. Purdue and Creighton. I'm going to go Creighton. I think they can make it to the Final Four. They've got the ability. Purdue's not shown. They're a good team, but consistency-wise, they can struggle, especially in the tournament. Matt Painter has not had the most success in the tournament. We're going to go Creighton on the big stage there in the Elite Eight. Duke and Kentucky. Kentucky is the pick here. They outscore everybody, man. It's hard to be able to beat them. And we're going to go and put Kentucky in the national championship game against UConn or Carolina. Who are we going with here? We're going to UConn. So UConn and Kentucky is our national championship game. 1 versus a 3 seed, high-powered offense coming up against the best team in college basketball, the defending national champion. And I don't know, man. This is a coin flip for me. But I think UConn defends it. Doesn't happen all that often, but UConn is your national championship winner. There it is. That's the perfect bracket. If you want to copy, rewind these picks, go to ESPN Bracket Challenge and fill out the same picks, and maybe you'll be up at the top of the leaderboard as well. No, I'm just kidding. I'm usually terrible at these things. I'm better with the picking the spreads than I am the winners, but we'll see how it all pans out. That's going to do it for today's episode of Between the Ears. I'm Schuyler Callihan. Make sure you continue to support us on our YouTube page at Mountain Ears Now by giving us by subscribing to our channel and giving us a thumbs up as well, and give us a follow over on X at that same handle, Mountain Ears Now. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.